We move at such a fast pace. We move at fast. I shared some of you the experience that I had recently with one of our clients sitting across from me over in our other conference room. He'd just flown in from Europe. I'm sitting there with him, looking him in the eyes. We're talking. I start every meeting. Every meeting I start just the way I started with you. Doesn't matter whether it's large, small, or whatever. We start with a positive experience. And so I'm sitting there across looking at him, and I said, so we start sharing. I shared my positive experience. He shares his. And he says, just yesterday, this is on a Wednesday, just yesterday, three of my best friends and I, we hiked to the top of the Alps. And we're sitting there on the Alps as the sun comes up. And he described the reflection of the sun on the snow. He described that whole experience and how emotional he got and what it meant to him to be able to sit there. He said in his words, I felt like I was sitting next to God. I said, wow, that's a pretty powerful experience. And as we talked, I said, what does your wife know about this experience? He goes, nothing. She knows I went. What about your children? What do they know about this experience? They don't even know I went. And you see, we have these wonderful experiences that we're not even capturing. Raise your hand. May I suggest something?
Sure.
I mean, what you just said was you went through the whole thing. Now, there's another level there because you've talked about you as a family, you've talked about them going back, having them write the letter of gratitude elevates their gratitude as well. Gives you the opportunity to have a discussion with them on next year, how could we do that better? If you had it to do it again, how would you prefer for us to do it? So now you're banking the asset, but you're also going to see it appreciate.
That's a great point.
Okay? Now let's go over here to your children. How do they feel about it? How can you teach them to bank this experience? How can they, after you have this moment of sharing this down, now take a second, children, and write down how you feel about this experience and why it was meaningful to you? And if you had it to do over again, what would we do to make it better? And so now, all of a sudden, they're banking the asset. The interest on it is how always make your learning greater than the experience. So the interest that you're earning from this deposit into your family bank is the thought process of how do we make it better next time. So next year, you go to withdraw, and we say, oh yeah, we got this input from the bank, from the place that we helped out, and they said we could do it better this way. That's the interest we're withdrawing. And we go, the kids, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. We can make this better this way. And then you can make that better as you move along. Now do you see, I'm instilling within you certain concepts that are going to come out to play throughout the day. And that's the concepts of capture, banking, withdrawing. When we think of bank, what do we normally think of? What kind of assets do we, what do we normally think of?
Okay.
Yeah. And this, right? How many of you want some of this? Okay? This is what we're thinking about. But the reality is when we start really creating the value that we can create as high-impact families and to really make a difference, it has very little to do with this. Very little to do with this. And more into core concepts that we can develop tools around that help build the things that we value most. And by bringing all of those in harmony, really optimizing these with the other assets that we have and bringing them together, then we're in a position to build our bank, our family bank, in such a way that we start capturing the things that that are most valuable to us. Imagine my friend, if he had been there in that moment, and he sat there and he said, this is just absolutely phenomenal. He takes out his iPhone and he starts looking around and he tries to get the glimpse of it, and he talks to his friends and he shares with them. He looks at it and he says, kids, my dear wife, I wish you were here with me. If I'd have known what this was going to be like, I would have moved heaven and earth to get you sitting right here next to me to have this experience, because I feel like I'm sitting next to God. And push a button and have it sent out to their own journals that they can capture it in. Imagine how powerful that would be. Now he's made a deposit. And he could ask his kids, how would you feel sitting up here? What would it be like? And he could put something out that says, we're going to do this in the future. And these kids would be so excited that they could make this whole thing work. Do you see? How powerful that is? And that's all we're talking about, deposit and withdrawal, deposit, withdrawal.